Welcome back, you guys. How you all doing today? I'm in EFC, this is Blue Lions TV, and today I'm here to bring you guys the preview and prediction video for our upcoming game tomorrow afternoon versus our London rivals in Crystal Palace. In today's preview, guys, I'm going to break down the press conferences from Lampard. I'm going to go through my predicted lineups that I'm expecting to see too. And to end things, I have on a very special guest in Son of Chelsea, where we are going to talk about and speak about our predictions for the game tomorrow. So I hope you guys do enjoy. We have a ton of things to break down, but before I get into anything though, if you like today's video, smash that like button. I'm going to get over 3,000 likes for today's video. And now, we move on to Frank Lampard, and let's hear what he had to say in today's press conference. Now, Lampard confirmed that Pulisic is fit. He is going to be part of the matchday squad. However, due to the injuries that he has sustained previously, he won't be playing against Crystal Palace. So I guess this is just another teaser for when Pulisic does eventually return back to the team. But I do like that Lampard, he's trusting the depth he has. He isn't going to rush back or force players to return quicker than they actually can. I think that's definitely a lesson he learned from last season, where sometimes he rushed back a few too many players that he didn't have to due to worrying. So it's good that Pulisic is going to be back very soon. Lampard did mention that both Pulisic and Ziyech really get along very well, that they get the best out of each other, and that he has a very clear plan for how he's going to use Ziyech and Pulisic in the team. So you guys, I think I have a bit of an idea of how it's going to work. I have some videos coming out next week in regards to Ziyech and the magic I feel that we should expect from him. But to now continue on, talks then moved on to potential departures. Now we've heard that Hudson-Odoi, Loftus-Cheek and Tomori have all been linked with loan moves away from the club. Lampard couldn't come out and confirm that all three players would stay. He mentioned that, okay, things have to be personalised based on each player. Maybe there could be some surprises. Maybe out of these three guys, there could be one surprise departure on loan. Could that be Ruben? Potentially. But again, the stumbling block comes down to the fact that, his wages are too high and most clubs aren't going to commit to that. Could it be potentially Hudson-Odoi deciding, you know what, let's make Bayern Munich happen? Don't know right now. And could it be Tomori leaving too? I probably don't think so. So let's see what happens. Lampard confirmed that he has to turn towards the squad for the season. Any players that still remain here are going to be taking part, are going to be important for the team, and I think this tells us that Lampard is still expecting to rotate heavily for the season. Now, talks then moved on to Frank Lampard and his opinions on the centre-back dilemma. There have been a ton of centre-back changes over the past 18 months. We've seen so many different combinations. I think a stat came out saying that we've used about 20 different backline formations, which sums up everything. And I think that tells you that Lampard still has some issues in regards to having that midfield he wants and the centre-back partnerships he wants. Now, is he making the right decision rotating? I personally think so. I do think that maybe with the level of your Zumas, your Tomoris, your Christensens, it's not like that level is, really massive between each players. I think they all are quite similar. They're all very young, and I think for them to obviously get game time and minutes to obviously improve and gain that experience, that could make a big difference in their development and for the future of the centre-back positions. Because I could imagine that, let's say, one of these guys was to fail, they could be moved on, but the other two players that came up from this process could be a lot better for that. So that's how I see the situation. Lampard is forced to rotate constantly due to not really having that left-footed centre-back and not really having that right balance of defensive leadership and communication. Ball progression from deep, pace for 1v1s, pace to get back into position 2, etc, etc. I do feel like, hopefully, as Tomori and your Christensens and your Zumas do grow and improve, they can add more things to their game, but right now, they aren't on that actual level I think Lampard wants them to be on now. So it does make sense for there to be rotation. I think we have to accept this until maybe we turn to the market to find a solution, because most times in these situations, when you're a manager that is inheriting squads that you haven't built in your own image, yes, you are forced to have to accommodate and adapt, and I think that adapting has been something that Lampard has done quite well at. It's one of the main reasons why we got a top 4 finish in the end, but I do think ideally over time he would like to slow that down a lot more. To end with the press conference, Lampard mentioned that the game vs Crystal Palace will be a difficult test, but he also provided some context in regards to our season start and the games we played so far. He mentioned against Brighton it was a good away win. He mentioned against Liverpool that we were competing very well until we went down to 10 men. And versus West Brom, of course, the mistakes cost us, but most times when you make mistakes of this manner, you lose the game. So the fact that we got back and secured 1 point really sums up the improvement that we've seen since last season. And I definitely think that Lampard has every right to make this comment. To end things, you guys, Lampard spoke about Mason Mount and how Mason was feeling very disappointed in himself, letting down the team. And Lampard just wanted to reassure the player that everyone supported him, everyone told him that you can get through this. And of course, Mason Mount is a young player, 21 years old. It's natural, it's a learning process, and it's something that will make him stronger in his future. So there you guys have it. That was the press conference from Frank Lampard. Originally I was going to add the Ben Chilwell comments too, but for the sake of keeping this video at a very respectable length, I'm going to have to leave that out and maybe speak about that in a future time. But to continue on, you guys, we now move on to the predicted lineup part. I'm going to discuss 2 potential lineups, starting with the first one. As you guys can see on screen beside me, I'm going for a pretty ambitious one. Now, as you guys can see, I've got a 4-3-3, and in this lineup I have Timo Werner, Tammy Abraham and Hudson-Odoi. In midfield, I've gone for Kai Havertz, Mason Mount and Kante. In defence, I've gone for Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva. I've gone for Andreas Christensen. I've gone for Reece James. And in goal, I've gone for Mendy, who's going to make his league debut for us. So just on this lineup, I do feel very optimistic. I do feel like this lineup can create goals. I'd love to see Havertz maybe in this area where he can receive between the lines even more, influencing the play, setting up players like Timo Werner. Against Crystal Palace, getting the first goal is key. If we can do that, it means that our game plan can then be enforced onto Crystal Palace. The game becomes a bit more open, and in this way, we can sit back a bit and pick them off on the counter-attack. Ideally, that's how we like to win games every single time, but for this game, I feel like if Lampard used a lineup like this, I feel like this is the midfield that all of us are kind of wanting to see, and we're really hoping to see very, very soon. It's obvious that every time we played 4-3-3, that's when we've looked at our very best, and I think the addition of having an extra attacking player between the lines in the final third, that does make a big difference for link-up play, build-up, shots on goal, etc, etc. And against Crystal Palace, are they in a position where Lampard may feel that it's worth taking that risk right now, where he might be thinking, okay, the team's not fully conditioned just yet, but I need to pick up a win, I need to get the good vibes going again at the club. This could be an opportunity to win people over. And for the second lineup, I've remained with the 4-2-3-1/4-4-2/4-3-3/ whatever happens in game. In this lineup, Tammy is up front, Werner down the left hand side, Kai Havertz in the middle, Mason Mount down the right. In midfield as Kova and Kante, and in defence I've gone for Ben, I've gone for Thiago Silva, I've gone for Kurt Zouma actually, and I've gone for Reece James and Mendy in goal. I think that maybe Lampard, he clearly has a long-term plan and vision. Once we have key signings who are fully fit, like your Ziyech is back in the team, Christian Pulisic, etc, etc, then we're really going to see the qualities behind the system and the qualities behind Lampard's preparations and his methods. I think in this system, hopefully we're going to see Kai play more in the middle, influencing the play, getting more involved and invested. Hopefully his fitness and his conditioning has come along a lot better. And, you know, with Tammy Abraham scoring goals right now, I feel like maybe he deserves his place in the team. I'm hoping to see Werner getting his first league debut goal. I think the entire fan base is waiting to see that. Very promising performance again versus Spurs, and against Crystal Palace with his movement in behind, dropping deep. I'm really excited to see what a lineup like this could look like as well. But there you have it, you guys. They were my 2 predicted lineups for tomorrow's game. In the comments below, give me your predicted lineup. What players do you want to see? Who are you hoping to see as well? And for the final segment, I have on a very special guest in Daniel, son of Chelsea, where we're going to give our predictions for the game for tomorrow. Hey Daniel, son of Chelsea, how you doing today, man? How are you feeling about our chances in the game for tomorrow?
I think cautiously optimistic. I think the fact we haven't really got going so far this season, you feel at some point it's going to click, and I feel like tomorrow is a good opportunity for Chelsea to go out there and put a really expressive and confident performance, which hopefully will cheer up a lot of us going into the international break.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Ben Chilwell was speaking about the fact that the team, the squad, is not in the perfect conditions right now, and needs a bit more time of gelling together, playing together, getting back to full fitness, etc., etc. And I really feel like he painted a very accurate depiction of the realities of football right now. And for me personally, I think it's time for the fans to be patient and accept that, because this unnecessary entitlement, impatience to expect and demand success immediately. The game doesn't work like that, and it's never worked like that at all. So, how do you feel about the recent criticism that the team's been facing?
I think obviously there's parts of it that are over the top and extreme. I think you just have to accept that social media at this point. I've been critical of the team objectively. I think that my biggest frustration on Tuesday was the lack of sort of expression and attacking in that second half. That was my biggest frustration with the team, because you look at the bulk of that team, players who played for Lampard last season. I think this team needs to be on the front foot, and that was my only sort of concern and big frustration with that game. It was a cup game at the end of the day, and I think that Chelsea could have done more in that second half. That was my problem with the drop off. But obviously, you look at the players that are out. I mean, Christian Pulisic. I mean, for me, he was the most exhilarating player to watch for Chelsea last season.
Yeah.
He's obviously going to be a game changer for us in a variety of situations. Ziyech, creatively, hopefully will add that creative guile that we haven't had so far this season. I look at Timo Werner, and I think, as we saw in that Brighton preseason friendly, those two could link up very well together. So those are things absolutely. And seeing a consistent back four and a consistent midfield, I think all those things Lampard needs to fix himself. But having Ben in the team, having a good back two, having maybe Dave or Reece at right back, and especially having Mendy, I think that's going to improve us at set pieces. Having that dominant presence is massive for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think Lampard, the team, the players, they know what the plan is, what the overall game plan is going to be for the season. It's just a matter of just waiting for the conditions to get right now. But moving on to Crystal Palace, of course, their form this season has been decent. Let's say, what do I mean? Let's say first 4 games of season, 3 wins, 1 loss, a big win against Man United. Are you worried by their threat? Do you feel like maybe we have to take them a lot more seriously for the game tomorrow? And do you think that maybe tomorrow is the best game to really test out a full attacking team and an attacking lineup?
Yeah, I think the obvious thing, we know what Crystal Palace is going to be like. They're going to come with Roy Hodgson. They're going to set up with a low block. They're going to try and frustrate us. Yeah. It's about Chelsea breaking that down. The biggest flaw for Chelsea at the moment seems to be transitions, getting done on transition. We saw that against West Brom, cutting out those individual mistakes. I think the midfield balance issue is a big problem for Lampard, because it's balancing that attacking intent we want to see with the likes of Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, but also adding that defensive solidity and mobility that we need to stay on the front foot. And I think Lampard, it's a good opponent because it will test a lot of that out. I mean, if Eze's playing, if Zaha's on his best form, that's going to be a big problem for Chelsea.
And he has
we saw
been very
this against
good
Man
this
United.
season. Yeah, exactly. Zaha has been on fire as well. Eze, the new signing. We know that Crystal Palace 4-4-2. That's how Roy likes to do things. And, of course, on the transition, as you're mentioning, this is an area that we have to be careful of, because with AU, I think he's looking resurgent right now. He's looking to go 1v1 against this man. Same thing with Zaha. Eze as well, moving into the space vacated on the left too. They have technical players that can do something 1v1, that can manipulate space. And, for a team like us, where too often the midfield isn't giving that protection and allowing the space between the lines to open up and, make it even harder for our defense to deal with things. I do feel like maybe tomorrow, if we use some 1v1 kings, potentially Zuma, Tomori, Thiago Silva, I do think that we can really stem that tide against Crystal Palace. But of course, man, I want to ask you for your final score predictions. How are you feeling, honestly? And if you want to elaborate too on who you think might score goals, I'd love to hear.
I think I'm going to go over 3-1.
3-1?
Because I think you have to still accept that this Chelsea side has the ability to concede a goal at some point during a game. A lapse in concentration at some point. I mean, I think the idea that Chelsea are going to go out there and win 4-0, which would be absolutely lovely, but I still think Palace, you've got to give respect to them. It's always going to be a difficult game of attrition and patience by Chelsea to get through them.
But on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. It's going to be another busy day for content. I'm the EFC, the Sis Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you man later with some more videos.